G'day guys, Mac with you, Circle. Today I want to look at this same statement I was looking at yesterday, but I want to focus on this particular section instead. Now I've outlined it in several different colours. For people who are wondering, it's a rainbow pattern. That's because I'm trying to capture, highlight the section for those who are colourblind. Just trying it out. If it works, let me know. Anyway, highlighted this section in the middle here, talking about that the day the book is produced, yada yada yada. It boils down to, if they don't play test it correctly, it's okay because we will play test it for them. Now, if you want a Mac rant, you're going to get a Mac rant today, guys, and we are going to talk some prices because one thing snowballed into another, and it was not my intention to do so. Originally, I was just going to say, hey, it's a bit shonky that you're putting out a product you know is not correct. Now, first, let's examine that thought. Okay, we don't expect a absolutely flawless, perfect product from Games Workshop. I think that's fair to say. We all understand, within reason, that there's going to be exceptions, there's going to be problems, unforeseen things. However, it's the amount of them, as well as basic editing, that really counts here, when rules are miswritten, pages mislabeled, things like that. So, on the one end of the spectrum, you have things that are extremely bad quality, like the aforementioned pages incorrectly labelled or even outright missing, like in some codexes. I believe it was the Space Wolves, I'm going to say Space Wolves 7th edition? I could be wrong. Anyway, it was definitely a Space Wolves codex, just had outright pages missing. When that sort of thing happens, that's really bad, and that grinds my gears. Whereas, a minor spelling error or something, I'll let that slip. Maybe an unforeseen circumstance in the game, yeah, I'll let that slip. But there are major things in the game that I won't let slip. Do understand it is hard to try and balance a game. I fully comprehend this. But it does go without saying you do need to at least attempt it, have a really good crack at it, and I shouldn't be seeing day one FAQs. Because that means you were aware of the problem, but you printed it anyway. Anyway, so I look at this statement, and they're saying that, hey, heaps of people are going to play the game. They're saying 25,000 people buy it. That's interesting. Again, they're picking a number out of the air. If that's a decent chunk of the player base right there, that kind of gives us an inclination of how many people play the game. But anyway, they're saying that because players will go out, buy the game, it doesn't matter if the product's not perfect because the players will let the company know and then the company can act on it. Well, first of all, the company can be very slow to act on it. Let's just, that's neither here nor there. I decided to go in and look for myself at some of these products. And the immediate thing that comes to mind is, why are we paying so much for something if they admit that it's imperfect? If it just is a beta test of sorts, what are you paying for? So I thought to myself, okay, let's figure it out. Per page, what am I paying? So something like one of these ebooks is a great start. Now, an ebook is electronic. That means your production costs entirely comes down to your software, your editing, and the man hours to write it. All of which are things that you're going to be spending if you write a hardcover book. But you don't have to go to the extra expense of setting it off to print, shipping it back and forth, hosting it physically on the wall in your stores, shipping it to different stores themselves, as well as covering any products which are hugely defected or damaged in transit, like say the book gets folded in half because the postman decided it was better to shove it through your letterbox slot than to hand it to you. That kind of thing. So an electronic item is physically a lot cheaper than a physical item. But the thing is, one of these kind of covers the cost of the other, because again, if you've created a hardcover, you've created a digital version. Now, I'm not saying an enhanced digital version here, because that's slightly different. But you've at least created the digital version. Because you had to have. You had to have created the PDF before you could create the hardcover version. Therefore, why are they charging so much for the PDFs? How much are they charging? Well, if I go and I look at this, here we go, Codex Supplement Raven Guard. It's just the first one on the list, so it's the one I picked. Codex Raven Guard. That's $26.99. 64-page book. So, at $26.99, less tax. So, 26.99 divided by 11. So, minus $2.45 from that. Total cost is $24.54 rounded up cents if you take away the Australian sales taxes. So $24.53. Okay, so I take that $24.53. I will then divide that by the 64 pages, ignoring the fact that 4 of those pages roughly are going to be just the printed by Games Workshop LLC, ISBN book number, that kind of thing. We'll just give them the full 64, we'll credit them that. That means we're paying 40 cents per page in our electronic document. That's interesting. Okay, what if I was to buy it in the UK? Now, here's the thing. Unlike a physical product, like this lovely hardcover codex here, Codex Supplement Raven Guard, unlike that physical product, if I am buying a product online, I'm paying for data. I'm not paying for a physical product to be shipped to me. Therefore, I imagine less taxes would be the same. So, what were we? $24 odd in Australian currency after taxes is what we're paying for this codex. Was it $24.55? Rings a bell. $24.55, I think it was. What are we paying in the UK? Well, UK, we've got our 20% VAT on this $12.99 publication, believe it or not. So £12.99. So that's £2, well, basically £2.60 off that price. So it's going to be £10.39. So £10.39. Let's see what that comes out to. £10.39 is $18 Australian. So we're paying 33% more in this case for the digital good. Why? Now, there is no overheads here. Black Library doesn't have an Australian branch office that's staffed with all their books here in Australia. Whatever books they sell in Australia in hardcover are sold in their Games Workshop stores, held in their Games Workshop depot, alongside the models and everything else. You see them when you walk into a Games Workshop store on the shelf behind the counter. So, why is it that we're paying $24.55 for something that costs $18.98? There's no import fees here. There's no other tariffs. It's just a flat 10% tax on the raw cost of the item. Because they can. That's why they're doing it to us. So we've veered off into the cost here. For people in the UK, you're not paying 45 cents per page, or whatever it was. You're paying about 2/3 of that per page. That's kind of a big deal. I bring it up because the more you look at it, the more it's like, hang on, what am I paying for here? If you go out and you buy this product and it's defective on day one, to a degree, and they're essentially going to FAQ it, and your book is going to be worthless after a certain amount of time because the changes are so in-depth that the rules contained within are no longer viable, that's a problem to me. Because you shouldn't be selling something for this expensive, especially something that's a PDF document, especially when other manufacturers are doing it for free. So, what is my solution here? My solution here is simple. You buy a hardcover book, such as, Codex Ultramarines here. Give it a second to load up. Australian internet, not the fastest in the world. You go out, you buy this book. What do you get? Currently, History of the Ultramarines, chapter organisation, background for characters, Stunning showcase of stunningly painted Citadel miniatures. Rules for units only available to the Ultramarines chapter, stratagems, warlord traits, tactical objectives, Dominus discipline, and way more. I think what you should have is a digital copy included with this. A little card comes with it, and that little card should have a little scratch it token. You scratch it, it gives you a code that you can put in order to download a digital version of this exact same codex. So you go out and you download this codex, and I mean, this is $49 for this Ultramarines codex, and yet it's only got a few Ultramarine specific units in it, when meanwhile you have to pay for whole codexes for $70 down here, which are the actual combined army you need to make a full list. So even to play my chosen chapter correctly, I would need to pay $70 for the first Codex Space Marines, and then I need to pay an extra $49 for my supplement. That's pretty crap. So what I think they should be doing is including a free digital copy of the product. On top of this, what they should be doing is revising the digital copy to include the FAQ'd elements. So if you're going out to buy a hardcover codex, in my opinion, that's probably because you're considering a bit of a collector's item. You like the pictures, that kind of thing. You like the feeling of a hard case book in your hands. I do it myself. I collect the black books for the Horus Heresy. I also like reading in general. So you go out and you get this this codex here. You should be getting that free PDF copy, and it should be updated automatically whenever they FAQ it, so that you constantly have the most up-to-date version of the rules. You shouldn't be having to download a PDF version of it or an e-published book, and then the rules get changed and yours doesn't update. That's BS. Or, alternatively, the cost should be increased on the Games Workshop codexes significantly, but if you buy it, you then get a code, and it means you have a lifetime automatic update, no matter if the edition changes, whatever, forever on, you will own that codex. And believe me, a lot of people would go out and buy that. If you buy Codex White Scars, it's like, okay, whenever the White Scars get updated any edition from now on, you will automatically get this thrown in for free. Also, another option would be a purchase bundle for a massive discount for things like White Scars, Iron Hands, Salamanders, etc., which includes the Space Marine Codex, because again, you can't play one without the other. So, instead of it being $119 to have your Space Marine Codex plus your Iron Hands Codex, it would instead be something like $100, or maybe even less, maybe just $85. Because it's like, hey, you've committed, you've bought both these items, you need one to play the other, give people a hand, give them a discount. Especially if it's a digital good. Because why? What are you charging for these pages? Now, again, I bring up the 45 cents per page thing, because that's important. Because I went and I checked on the Lord of the Rings, and the Lord of the Rings, if Lord of the Rings cost the same amount, and this is the Lord of the Rings in hardback, unused dust jackets, yada yada, but includes a reader's companion, a whole bunch of extra appendices stuff, beautiful artwork by Alan Lee and John Howe, who are conceptual artists who've done drawings for Tolkien for years, yada yada. I use the Lord of the Rings as a great example because it's in our nerd culture. If this was charged at the same per page cost as a Warhammer digital codex, this hardcover custom artwork box set, you would be paying $700 for it. And yet somehow they've managed to rein the price down despite all that artwork and being a limited edition box, and they've brought the price down to $112 here on this random page. $112.41. So it's 6 times cheaper to buy the Lord of the Rings in hardcover with additional Reader's Companion and additional artwork. Is $700 instead of being $700. It's 7 times cheaper than if I were to go and buy the exact same e-published book from Games Workshop. What the hell? Now, some might argue, but Lord of the Rings is going to sell. Guys, the market for Lord of the Rings is saturated. If you look at how many different versions of Lord of the Rings are available for sale, everyone has a copy of it if they want it. Selling a niche collector's anniversary box set like this, you're not going to sell that many of them, realistically. I'd say you're probably going to sell less of those than you're actually going to sell of these codexes. Because again, people already have a copy, and there's only so many collector's editions of the same book you're going to want to buy unless you're a real enthusiast. So, if anything, the price should be higher on those Lord of the Rings books. So, I'm seeing a fundamental disconnect here between the cost of the product and, well, obviously there's just sheer greed involved. The company knows it can make money, they know you need the codexes in order to play the game, they know you're going to buy them, so they're charging you through the teeth for it. I would be fine with this, as I say, if they provide you with a free, automatically updating digital version of the game. Or sell the e-version of it much cheaper. It has to be much cheaper, because you can't go around charging 7 times more than you would for a physical copy of a book in your hand. And no, the artwork doesn't cost that much. Believe me, Alan Lee and John Howe are much more expensive artists than the people that Games Workshop is hiring. These are the guys that work for Peter Jackson, that did the Lord of the Rings films. They are expensive artists compared to the people Games Workshop's using, a lot of which are staff in-house. On top of that, they also recycle a lot of their artwork in these codexes. So, these are major problems here. Again, I would have a very different attitude if these codexes came out at near, 98% perfect. But they're not coming out 98% perfect. They're coming out with a page or 2 pages of FAQs on the day of release. And then they get more a month down the line where they're like, okay, we realise this thing that is totally overpowered and everyone told us that day one. Well, now we know it for sure. So, whole point of today's gripey episode is that you can't go around charging more for digital products in different countries. It's not fair. Okay, it's just blatant price gouging. Have them on a variable rate. That's all you have to do, so that we pay appropriate to what our dollar is worth. If our dollar is worth more, then they're going to be making a lot more profit than if our dollar is down, but they're still making a lot of extra money. Okay? It's BS. Right now, they're making about £3 extra per book they sell in Australia over the UK, and that's just on this digital book here. £3 extra profit, just for selling the exact same ebook in Australia. That's taxes, everything all taken out of it. That's theft, in my opinion. Anyway, back to the outer circle. Tell me what you think. Do you think that codexes should be having an automatic digital version included in them? Or do you think it's fine for you to purchase a hardcover book and then within a month of its release, it being outdated or superseded because they release an FAQ? And also, do you think that digital books should automatically be updated with these FAQs? After all, it should be as simple as patching a video game. You just say there's a new version of the book to download and you offer that to people. I think that should definitely be something they do. The fact is that currently you buy a digital codex, and you could buy a digital codex for something that was FAQ'd 2 years ago, and they don't even update the new version. So you go back to the rules it had before the FAQ, and you're like, hang on a minute, this has been FAQ'd since before I bought this. Why haven't they updated? This is basic stuff that should be done, and it really frustrates me. Anyway, that's my gripe, that's my whinge for the week. Unless something really bad happens. Thank you all for watching. Thoughts and feedback in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time.